This is a quick guide on the best settings for both Xbox and PlayStation players for Red Dead Redemption 2 online. With literally thousands of hours of playtime playing shooters throughout my life, going back to playing James Bond on the Nintendo 64, there's a lot of things I've learned, but the main thing is always take advantage of whatever the game has to offer you. But with that being said, some settings work better for some people and some work better for others. So I'm going to show you my personal setup and what I think are the best settings for this game. So to change your settings, just bring up the pause menu and go down to settings and then go into controls. Starting with invert look, this is a personal preference. I leave this off, so when I push my analog up, I look up. When I push it down, I look down. Vibration, I prefer to keep that on. The light bar effect is just the color of the light on the back of your PlayStation controller. Moving down to lock-on mode, I personally play on normal. Also available is narrow, free aim, and wide. So if you play on narrow, it means you have to get closer with your initial aim to lock onto a player. But with wide, it will automatically lock on from a greater distance. And of course, normal is in the middle of that. Some people do prefer to play on free aim, but in my opinion, when you're up against other players that are going to be using lock-on mode, then you're just putting yourself at a complete disadvantage if you choose to go free aim. If you want to take advantage of every aspect the game gives to you to perform as well as you possibly can, then you definitely need to keep lock-on mode on. And as I say, I personally use normal, which I think is the best option. Going down to the aim assist strength on foot, you want to keep that maxed out, and it's best to keep the mount vehicle lock-on mode and aim assist exactly the same as what it is on foot, just to keep that consistency. Moving down to third-person controls, this is where it's a good idea to change it to standard FPS. Doing this will swap the roles of the left analog and X, or the left analog and A on Xbox, which means you can use the left analog to sprint, freeing up your right thumb to move the right analog to look around you, which is extremely useful in spotting enemies. It does take a little bit of time to get used to, but it is really worth doing. Leave horse control as it is at camera relative. Now getting down to look sensitivity, again this is a personal preference, but the higher you can get it, the better. If you can get used to playing on a really high sensitivity, then when someone's shooting you in the back, it makes you a lot faster in turning around and reacting to that person, which will potentially allow you to get the kill on them rather than them getting the kill on you. And this is the same for aim sensitivity as well. I find it's best to max this out too. Down to aim look acceleration. Having this all the way down the bottom will mean that when you start looking around, it starts very slowly and gradually gets faster until it lands at a consistent speed. This is one of the elements that makes the game feel really sluggish sometimes. So to counteract this, you want to max out this acceleration. If you look at these two comparisons, this is aim look acceleration on the bottom. You'll notice that it takes a little bit of time until it gets that consistent speed, whereas this is it when it's at the max. It goes straight to that speed and you don't have to worry about it. To make it feel like other shooters that you're used to, you want to have this on maximum. And moving down to the aim look dead zone. The higher this setting is, the more you have to move the analog until the game registers what you're doing. The lower the setting, the more responsive the analog will be. So having this one at its minimum and the ones above it its maximum will probably take some getting used to if you've been playing on the standard controls up until this point. But when you're able to get shot in the back, turn around and kill the guy that's shooting you before he can kill you, then that's when you can start really appreciating why it's worthwhile to change these settings. Moving down to first person, I personally don't play Red Dead in first person, but if you switch between these camera angles or if you just play first person completely, then it is worth matching the settings that are above for all the same reasons that I just explained. Moving on to running mode now, it is worth changing this to toggle. So if you're walking forward, when you click it once, you'll start jogging, and then when you click it again, you'll start sprinting. And then you're free to carry on sprinting using the left stick for direction and using the right stick to look around for enemies. Putting this setting to toggle to run is really worth doing if you're going to be using the third person controls at standard FPS, which is what I recommend. On to tap assist, this is another setting that's worth changing. I found that putting this at 4 times is the best thing to do. If you put it on hold, then it seems to be a bit of a potluck as to whether you're going to win the struggles, which is where tapping really comes into play in PvP. Since changing the tap assist to 4 times, I've lost way less struggles, so this is another one worth changing. Tap to hold delay, this is just a personal preference. I leave this as it is. And that's about it for the control section. There is one other thing that you want to make sure you've got switched on, and that's in the display section. So go into here, scroll all the way down to the weapon reticle options. I've heard a lot of people for some reason have got this set to dot, which if you've chosen this option or chosen none, means you're missing out on understanding one of the most crucial mechanics in the game. And that is the relationship between the outer ring and the dot in the center of the reticle. For sake of time, I won't go into detail about this mechanic now, but I will leave a link in the description as well as 2 videos on the screen now that further explain this feature as well as giving you some crucial combat tips to improve your game on Red Dead. And that is about it for my opinion on the best settings for PvP in Red Dead. Of course, when it comes down to settings, people do have their personal preferences, and if there's anything that I didn't mention in this video that you think could help someone out, then please just leave a comment below this video, and if it's really useful, then I'll pin it to the top to make sure people see it. If you want a quick guide on arguably the best weapon on Red Dead Redemption 2 online, then there is a link in the description for that. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video or it helped you out, then please give it a like and subscribe for more quick guides and Red Dead content in the future. I'm JmCooKie. Cheers.